In the heart of the dense ashwood forest, a heavy fog hung low, twisting around the gnarled trees like a shroud. Nathan Blackwood tightened the straps on his backpack, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and unease. This was his first solo camping trip, a chance to escape the pressures of city life and immerse himself in nature. He had always been drawn to the wilderness, yet today a feeling nagged at the back of his mind, whispering that he might not be alone out here. As Nathan ventured deeper into the woods, the sounds of civilization faded away. The chirping of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the occasional snap of a twig beneath his boots were the only reminders of life beyond the trees. He had chosen a secluded spot far from the hiking trails, eager for solitude. The sunlight filtered through the branches, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. Nathan shrugged off the chill that crept up his spine. It was just his imagination, he told himself. Setting up camp took longer than he expected. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he built a fire, the crackling flames warding off the encroaching darkness. The flickering light danced across the trees, and Nathan pulled out his phone to check for a signal. Nothing. No bars. He tossed the device back into his pack, a knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. He was truly alone. Night settled in, and the forest transformed. Strange sounds echoed in the darkness, distant howls, rustling leaves, and something. Was it breathing? Nathan shook his head, dismissing the sounds as mere figments of his overactive imagination. As he settled into his sleeping bag, he fought the urge to keep the fire burning bright. Instead, he let the embers fade, lulled into a restless sleep by the rhythmic chirping of crickets. Hours later, Nathan jolted awake, heart pounding. The air was still, heavy with an unsettling silence. He glanced at his watch. It was just past midnight. In the dim light of the dying embers, he noticed something out of place. A shadow, darker than the surrounding night, slithering between the trees. His breath hitched in his throat. It was too large to be an animal, yet it moved with a grace that sent shivers down his spine. "Get a grip," he muttered to himself, convincing his mind that it was nothing more than a trick of the light. But deep down, a primal instinct warned him he was not alone. He decided to check his surroundings, heart racing as he stepped out of the tent. The cool air wrapped around him, sharp and alert. "Hello," he called, his voice swallowed by the forest. No answer came, just the rustling of leaves. Nathan peered into the darkness, his eyes straining to make sense of the shadows. He felt exposed, vulnerable, and a cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. With a shudder, he retreated to his tent, zipping it tight. The following day, Nathan tried to shake off his fears. He hiked deeper into the woods, the sunlight breaking through the canopy, illuminating the vibrant greens of the forest. He took photos of the breathtaking landscape, each click of the camera easing his anxiety. Yet every now and then, he felt it, an unsettling sensation of being watched. As the day wore on, Nathan decided to head back to camp. But the trail felt different now. The trees seemed to close in on him, their twisted branches resembling skeletal hands. Panic gripped him as he realized he couldn't remember the path he had taken. He cursed under his breath, retracing his steps, but nothing looked familiar. The forest had transformed, becoming a labyrinth of shadows. Nightfall approached, and Nathan's heart raced as darkness enveloped him. He had no choice but to find shelter, so he set up a temporary camp under a large oak tree, his fear escalating with each passing moment. He lit a small fire and sat close, desperately trying to keep his mind focused. But sleep eluded him, and he felt it again, the creeping sensation of something lurking just beyond the flickering light. The following days blurred together as Nathan struggled to find his way back to his original campsite. He wandered, growing more disoriented with each step, and the feeling of being pursued intensified. He heard whispers in the wind, and shadows flitted just beyond his line of sight. At times, he could swear he saw the outline of a figure lurking in the trees, but when he turned, there was nothing but silence. On the seventh day, exhaustion weighed heavily on him, both physically and mentally. Nathan stumbled upon a clearing he had never seen before, its eerie tranquility unnerving. In the center stood a dilapidated stone altar, overgrown with moss and surrounded by twisted roots. Symbols, worn and faded, etched into the stone, seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. His instinct screamed at him to leave, but curiosity drew him closer. As he reached out to touch the altar, a cold wind swept through the clearing, and the air thickened with an oppressive presence. Shadows coalesced around him, whispering his name in a voice that was neither human nor beast. Panic surged through him as he stumbled back, but it was too late. The ground trembled, and a figure emerged from the darkness. A gaunt silhouette with elongated limbs and hollow eyes, a grotesque imitation of a man. It bore the weight of countless souls, cursed to wander the forest for eternity. Nathan's breath caught in his throat as he realized that this was not merely a creature. It was the manifestation of the curse that had befallen these woods, a remnant of the cult that had once thrived here in the 1930s. Desperate to escape, Nathan fled, the creature hot on his heels. He navigated the dense underbrush, branches tearing at his clothes and skin. He could hear the creature's breath, ragged and hungry, echoing in the silence. It was relentless, never faltering, and for the first time, Nathan understood that it would not let him go. Days passed in a haze of terror. Nathan learned to survive in the wild, scavenging for food and water, but he could never shake the feeling of being hunted. Each night, the creature would close in, lurking just beyond the perimeter of his campfire, a constant reminder of the curse that bound it to the land. He found himself talking to the shadows, desperate for companionship as madness nipped at his heels. On the 10th day, Nathan's resolve began to crumble. He had become a ghost of his former self, hollow-eyed and gaunt. As night fell, he sat by the fire, trembling as the creature's presence loomed closer than ever. It was time to confront the truth. The whispers had grown louder, revealing fragments of the cult's history. They had sacrificed the innocent to bind their souls to the land, forever tethering them to this realm. Nathan realized that the only way to break the curse was to confront the altar once more. He had to face the darkness that had been stalking him, but he also knew he could not do it alone. As the night deepened, he summoned the remnants of his courage, steeling himself for the confrontation. He navigated through the forest, heart pounding as he approached the clearing. The altar loomed ahead, shrouded in an unnatural stillness. The air crackled with energy as the creature emerged, its hollow eyes locked onto Nathan. He felt the weight of the souls trapped within it, their anguish resonating through the night. "Let them go," Nathan shouted, the fire in his heart igniting. "I won't let you take me." The creature paused, and for a moment the whispers ceased. Nathan took a step forward, trembling but resolute. He reached out to the altar, pressing his palm against the cold stone, feeling the pulsing energy beneath. "I break this curse!" The ground shook violently, and a blinding light erupted from the altar, engulfing Nathan and the creature. He felt the energy surge through him, tearing at the darkness that had plagued him for days. The creature shrieked, a sound that echoed through the forest, raw and filled with sorrow. Nathan closed his eyes, focusing on the light, on the lives trapped in this cursed land. When he opened his eyes, he was alone. The clearing was quiet, the oppressive weight of the curse lifted. Nathan fell to his knees, breathless, the dawn breaking over the horizon. The sun bathed the forest in warmth, and the shadows that once haunted him melted away. With newfound strength, Nathan found his way back through the woods, following the sun's path. Each step felt lighter, the forest no longer a labyrinth of fear but a place of renewal. He emerged from the tree line, breathing in the fresh air of freedom. As he drove away from Ashwood Forest, Nathan glanced back at the towering trees, a mix of gratitude and sorrow swelling in his chest. He had faced the darkness and survived, but he would never forget the lurking shadow that had haunted him. The curse was broken, but the memories of that forest would forever linger, a reminder of the darkness that can dwell within even the most beautiful places.